Hello, my name is Sally Maxwell, and I'm going to enlighten you a little bit on how to add color to your scratchboard. I start with a basic pattern that I transfer to my board by using white chalk, just good old chalkboard chalk, on the back of the drawing. I tape it to the same size board that I'm going to be working on, mark over it with my ballpoint pen, and you can see it leaves a lovely amount of white chalk on the back. The chalk is nice because it does go away when you want it to by just using the palm of your hand. Using a regular scratch tip in a nib, the nib in a scratch holder, I go over all of those lines that I have transferred in order to leave them and not wipe them off with my hand as I'm doing the other scratching. As you can see here, I've got really good guidelines both for the length of the hair and the direction they're going. I just fill in between those, and it takes a very long time to do it. Many techniques are used. This one happens to be called stippling, and it's where you just almost stab the surface with your little scratch nib and pull back ever so slightly to leave tiny, tiny, tiny marks. It's very good for smooth surfaces that you want to do, for very gradual changes from the level of black to white. Any detailing can be done very nicely with the stippling technique. Eyeballs, I use it for the most part now. Then once you've done all of your major work and you've finished off as much as you think you need, you don't have to be extremely detailed with your cutting as far as your darks and lights, because you're going to be adding color. You have to, though, allow enough white space for those colors, no matter how dark or light they are, to lay on top of the clay board. Once you've completed the whole drawing and you're ready to do color, there are several very important steps. Before you even start doing the color, I recommend you take the clean palm of your hand and go over the whole piece. As you can see, there's an awful lot of black residue left there. If you leave it on, your colors will turn muddy as soon as you put them on top of that. My palette is very simple: red, yellow, blue, India ink, not acrylic, and also raw sienna, burnt sienna, and sepia. No black or white is used because your scratchboard does that for you. I lay in a general wash all over of one of the lighter tones that is going to be in the piece. By doing this, I also assure that all of the black residue has been picked up in this wash and will not taint any of the colors that I want to be more pure than the undercoating. I will then go back in and do a little bit more detailing, layering up, layering up, layering up with my colors for the intensity. It's better to layer slowly up than to put very pure color on it. As you can see, I'm mixing my colors in the tins, and often I am taking my brush over and putting water with them and diluting them down on the paper. I use a pad of watercolor paper so that I'm trying out my color before I ever touch it onto the clay board. If you also will notice, it's more of a dry brush than a wet brush technique that's used. This doesn't look really too pretty at this particular moment, but trust me, once I have cut it one more time, at least, it will be far more furry, for lack of a better word. Now you can see what's going to happen when I go back over the piece, scratching to remove all of the color that's there. I don't go in the exact lines if that's not necessary. As a matter of fact, it's not what you want to have happen because fur isn't like that. It wants to cross over it and give it the depth. I normally do it on pretty much all of the piece, even if it's in the shadow, because I have a special mix I call my shadow blue that I come over into those lovely places. And as you can see, you can get very, very rough with your tool. Turn it to its side and it will do broader removal strokes. There are other tools as well. This is a very small fiberglass brush. It does a softer removal technique. And sometimes on some types of hair it's necessary. A lot of the scratchboarders have made up their own tools, or they use tattoo needles, or they use X-Acto blades. I don't really like those things. I use the tip that's made just to be used on scratchboard. As you can see, I use a varnish spray once I'm completely done with the piece. I spray from all directions and about 8 inches out as per manufacturer's directions. A lot of airflow is needed when you do this, so you do not breathe the fumes. Once you're done with all of this, voila! You have your beautiful piece of artwork.